Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is Jeff Berwick, Chief Editor and host at the Dollar Vigilante. Thank you for joining me today, Jeff.
No, my pleasure.
Great. So your talk here today, coming up very soon, will focus on cryptocurrencies and gold. Most of our audience members are very familiar with gold, but they're not so up to speed on cryptocurrencies. Could you just give me a brief rundown of what they are, other than Bitcoin, what's out there?
It's a whole market to itself, and I've been in Bitcoin since 2011 when it was $3. And as soon as I understood what it was, I knew this was going to change the world. And I was around at the start of the internet too. I'm fairly old, I'm 46 years old now, and I was like in my 20s. And as soon as the internet came out, as soon as I remember the first person who even told me about it, I went, I'm quitting my job. This changes everything. This is going to be the future. And I felt the same way when I saw Bitcoin. So I've been into it since then. It's turning into, I've said this was going to happen. It's now happening. It's going to be a whole sector unto itself. It's now worth, total market cap of all cryptocurrencies combined is $70 billion now. So $1/10 trillion. This is a serious sector now. There's so many developments. There's literally thousands of different cryptocurrencies. You can make your own cryptocurrency if you want. No one would probably want it unless it had some real special reason that you made it. There's so many, and there's so much development going on. This is just like the internet, in my opinion, and they're actually creating cryptocurrencies that will actually change the entire way the internet works. There's one called MadeSafe, and they want to decentralize the entire internet. So this gets complicated, but my point is there's so much going on in that space, and it's so super exciting.
Okay, so from what I understand, cryptocurrencies, and particularly Bitcoin, are doing very well right now. Mm-hmm. What is driving that performance?
This latest one is quite interesting because, like I said, I've been in it since $3. It just hit $2,800 the other day, so we're up about 80,000% in the last 6 years. I didn't buy as much as I should have, of course. You always say that when you look back. But this is the first time since I've been in the sector that you're seeing people across the world getting excited about. Your average mom and pop, taxi drivers are talking about it. That's also a sign of a bit of a top. And I said that recently, that this is definitely getting bubbly now. We've had, Bitcoin was only $700 like 4 months ago. It's now $2,100. So it's tripled. It's actually quadrupled. But people are waking up, and basically what I say to a lot of people is, if you've ever used Bitcoin in just day-to-day transactions, you will understand immediately why it's so amazing. Because in today's day and age with banking laws, and you try to transfer money, and the bank's going to call you, and what are you doing, and where's this, and they want this big cut. Bitcoin, if I could have $1 million in Bitcoin in my own brain that no one would even know I even have. And if I want to send it to China, I could send it and it'll be there in like a couple minutes for basically almost free. This is a game changer.
Okay, so I was watching some of your videos to get ready for this. It sounds like you think Bitcoin is going to continue doing well. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
We're just getting started. I think like I said, it's a bit bubbly. It's gone up so much. It definitely needed a pullback. It's pulling back right now. I think we're never going to see below $1,000 again, in my opinion. Now, I should put a disclaimer. It's possible Bitcoin could go to zero if certain things happen, some sort of hack or some sort of crash, or the internet being turned off would definitely kill Bitcoin, right? So, it is still risky, but, if just have some of it and start using it. And once you start using it, you will just understand why it's important. And if Bitcoin ends up being used as a money everywhere in the world, just like the US dollar is, I've done the calculations, it would be worth about $1 million per Bitcoin if it got to that stage, and that's obviously a few years away. But that's the upside potential. The downside is zero. So, it's just like anything, be careful, but definitely look at it.
Right, okay. So your talk today coming up, it's called Why Cryptocurrencies Are Crushing Gold and Why Gold and Gold Stocks Will Make a Comeback. The last time I checked, gold was at about $1,270. Bitcoin was around $2,500. So how could a comeback for gold play out?
Well, I'm the Dollar Vigilante, and I am talking about we're going to have a collapse of this entire financial system, and it's going to happen soon. We're not talking 20 years. We're talking months or years at this point, and just a couple years max. It's not going to go 5 or 10 years more without collapsing. If you look at all the debt, the U.S. government, $20 trillion in debt. When you add in liabilities, it's like $100 trillion, which works out to $250,000 for every person, man, woman, and child. Newborn babies born in the U.S. with $250,000 of government debt and liabilities that's already been spent and it's supposed to be paid back at some point. It obviously never will be. It's impossible. A family of 4 would have $1 million to pay back. That's never going to happen. There's 1 in 5 people in the U.S. are now on food stamps, thanks to, a lot of people are very impoverished thanks to the Federal Reserve. So this is all going to happen in the next few years, and no one could really predict how it's going to happen or what will happen when it happens, but it's going to be world-changing event. It's going to be remembered for centuries, and people will talk about it like people talk about the Great Depression now. This is going to be so much worse, unfortunately, for a lot of people. Unless they wake up and get some Bitcoin and stuff, or get some gold, unless they wake up, they're going to get really hurt in this collapse. So this is all going to happen the next couple of years. As that happens, the US dollar won't even exist 10 years from now. It'll be, if anything, it'll have a different name, and it'll be worthless almost, right? They want to bring in this new one world currency now called the SDR, special drawing rights. All these currencies, all these governments are bankrupt. All these central banks are just printing money. They have the interest rates at 0% now for years, because if they even raise the rates, it bankrupts the entire system. The whole system is going to get washed away. When that happens, gold's going to obviously skyrocket in value. So that's why I say to get into gold.
Okay. Now, if you're new to Bitcoin, you want to get into it, you've heard you talk, how do you do that? Where do you start?
I would definitely check out our YouTube channel, the Dollar Vigilante. Just look into the Dollar Vigilante on YouTube. I talk about it all the time. We actually, with our newsletter, if you sign up for it at dollarvigilante.com, we have a book that comes free with the subscription called Bitcoin Basics. So that'd be a great place to start. That's a book I wrote about a year ago. And the great thing about our group is that we got thousands of subscribers around the world, and we have the Facebook group, and they're all, not all of them, but many of them are on there. And I've seen so many people come on, they're like, hey, I'm a new subscriber. I don't know anything about Bitcoin. What do you think about this? And people will help them. They'll be like, yeah, I remember I was like you like 6 months ago. Here's what you got to do. So we got this whole community of people to help.
Oh, perfect. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and this is Jeff Berwick.
Are you prepared for the coming crisis? The Dollar Vigilante wants to make sure you are, so we're offering our book, Getting Your Gold Out of Dodge, completely free to you for a limited time. This book gives you advice on how to purchase gold and silver and where to store it internationally to protect from political risk. Go to dollarvigilante.com/gold to download your free copy today and ensure that you are prepared for the coming collapse. Click on the link in the notes below to receive your free copy of Getting Your Gold Out of Dodge now.